Welcome to SecOps, the podcast created by Ben, Moise, and Sneh, and powered by Cyber Viewpoint. Have you ever stopped to think about how a massive breach, the kind that shuts down entire supply chains, often starts with something deceptively simple, like a single stolen password?
It's terrifying, really.
Yeah, because once an attacker has that one key, the system just grants assumed trust, and suddenly the doors open to the entire organization. We've got to stop thinking about just securing the building,
Exactly. It's about securing the badge, the identity. Welcome back to our cybersecurity journey. Today we're diving into Identity and Access Management, IAM. It's really the cornerstone of ensuring that the right people have the right access at the right time.
And absolutely nothing more.
Precisely. And the fact is, with everything moving to cloud, mobile, remote work, identity is the new perimeter. Forget the old network firewall thinking.
That's what people are saying now, yeah. Identity is the new perimeter.
Correctly so.
So that's where we're going today. Our mission, for you listening, is to really unpack this foundational security domain. We're going to follow the life cycle of a user right from the moment they claim an identity through verification, authorization. We'll cover the core models that dictate what you can do, the modern stuff like passwordless solutions that verify who you are.
And the network standards underneath it all, making it work across different systems.
Okay, let's unpack the high-level objective first. IAM. It's basically the organized set of technologies and processes controlling who can touch what, right?
Yeah, whether that's data, systems, devices, even like a physical building.
And getting this right is probably the most effective way to block those unauthorized breaches from happening in the first place.
It really is. And this leads us right to the three essential pillars, the IAA triad, you could call it. Identification, authentication, and authorization.
Identification. Okay, so that's step one. Just claiming an identity, like typing in your username or flashing a badge saying, I'm Bob.
Right. You're just stating who you claim to be, but then you have to prove it, and that's authentication.
Verification.
Exactly. This verification stage is the initial core focus of your defense. You must prove you are who you claim to be. Only after that identity is proven. Only then do we get to authorization.
Okay, so authorization is defining and granting the rights, the permissions, the what you can actually do part.
Yeah. You might be authenticated as Bob, but are you authorized to edit that sensitive file or just view it?
Gotcha.
And linking right back to strong authentication is this critical concept, non-repudiation.
Ah, right.
If your system needs, say, MFA to log in, and you are logged in, you can't really turn around later and deny you took a specific action.
Because the proof is there.
That irrefutable link is vital, not just for security, but think about compliance, auditing. You need that solid trail.
Okay, so let's talk more about that verification step authentication. For decades, the password, it's been the weakest link, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Constantly stolen, users find them a pain.
Which leads to weak choices, writing them down.
And attackers. That's the first thing they go after, always.
So how do we make passwords less awful? What are the best practices?
Well, you can mitigate some risk with good configuration. Your systems must enforce minimum lengths, ideally. Think 12 to 16 characters, maybe even more now.
Okay.
But here's a really actionable nugget for you listening. Configure your systems to display the last successful login time.
Ah, okay. Why is that critical?
Because it's a detective control. It immediately tells a legitimate user, hey, someone logged in at 3 a.m. yesterday. Was that you? If not, boom, red flag.
That's a great simple feature. Put some power back in the user's hands.
Yeah.
And disable displaying the last username used, right? Don't want to give attackers half the puzzle.
Exactly. And if you're setting policies, think about passphrases too, sequences of words.
Yeah, like correct horse battery staple.
Right. Those are often much stronger and, frankly, easier for people to remember than trying to recall P at $12 and $123.
Makes sense. But ultimately, the real solution involves more than just a password.
Absolutely. And that brings us squarely to multifactor authentication, MFA.
The big one.
We break verification down into three types of factors. Something you know.
Like the password or a PN.
Something you have.
A token, smart card, your phone maybe.
Exactly. And something you are.
Biometrics, fingerprints, face scans, that sort of thing.
Yep. Now, when we talk about something you have, tokens are common. Think about those software tokens like the authenticator apps on your phone.
Right, the ones spitting out numbers every 30 seconds.
That's TOTP, time-based one-time password. They use protocols like QTP, the Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol, especially for secure remote connections.
Okay, and moving to biometrics, the something you are, how do we know if these systems are actually any good? They seem fancy, but are they accurate?
That's a crucial question. This is where we get into accuracy metrics. There are two main ones you hear about: the false accept rate, or FAR.
That's type 2 error, right? Letting the bad guy in.
Correct. Unauthorized user gets accepted. Then there's the false reject rate, or FRR.
Type I error. Denying the good guy.
Yep, the authorized user gets blocked, annoying for the user, potentially disruptive.
So this sounds complicated. If I'm buying a biometric scanner, how do I choose? One vendor boasts a super low FIR, another a low FRR.
You focus on the crossover error rate, or CER. This is the key metric.
Crossover error rate. Why that one?
Because you can tune these systems, right? Make it super sensitive. You get a low FR, but probably a high FRR, lots of legit users blocked. Loosen it up, FRR drops, but FAR might shoot up, more attackers get through.
Ah, okay.
The CER is the point where those two error rates, FRR and FRR, are equal. It gives you the truest picture of the system's overall reliable accuracy, balancing security and usability. That's the number auditors look for.
That makes a lot more sense. It's the balance point. And quick aside on privacy, people worry about giving up their fingerprints.
That's a valid concern, but typically systems like fingerprint scanners don't store the entire image. They usually store unique sample points, or it features minutia, they're called, not the whole picture.
Okay, so it addresses some of those privacy worries. Good to know.
So once we've authenticated someone, we're not done. We move into session management.
Right, keeping things secure during the session.
Exactly, using things like unique session IDs. And, critically, workstation inactivity timeouts. What we used to call screensavers, but with actual locking.
Yeah, you don't want someone authenticated walking away, leaving their workstation open for anyone to just jump on.
Precisely. Basic hygiene, but essential.
Okay, so we verified who you are with authentication. Now let's tackle authorization. What are you actually allowed to do? Where do we start with the models?
Well, the traditional foundations are DAC and MS, discretionary and mandatory access control.
DC first, discretionary.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone gets to decide.
Exactly. It's all about ownership. If you create a file, you own it, and you have the discretion to decide who else gets access, read, write, whatever. You manage this through an access control list, an ACL.
Okay, pretty common model, like Windows file permissions.
Very common. But the counterpoint is mandatory access control, or MAC.
Mandatory. Sounds stricter.
Much stricter. It's system enforced. Access isn't up to the owner. It's based on sensitivity labels assigned to both the data, like top secret, secret, confidential, and the user, their clearance level.
So the user's clearance has to match or exceed the data's label.
Essentially, yes, based on specific rules.
Right.
It's non-discretionary. The system enforces it, absolutely. It's rigid, can be complex.
And you usually see it in high security places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Military, intelligence.
That's the typical environment where controlling information flow is paramount, which is why most businesses don't use pure MS day to day.
So what do they use?
They lean towards more modern agile models, starting with role-based access control, RBAC.
RBAC. Okay, this one sounds intuitive. Access based on your job role.
Exactly. If you're hired into the accountant role, you automatically get all the permissions associated with being an accountant. Doesn't matter if you're Bob or Alice, the role defines the access.
That definitely simplifies managing permissions compared to doing it user by user.
Hugely. But even RBAC isn't always granular enough for today's needs. We need systems that understand context, not just static roles.
Right, like maybe an accountant can access payroll, but not after midnight from a cafe in another country.
Precisely. And that need for context brought us to attribute-based access control, or ABAC.
ABAC. Attributes. Okay, so it looks at more factors.
Yeah. ABAC is the most flexible model we have right now. Access isn't just about your role. It's determined dynamically by matching multiple attributes.
Like what kind of attributes?
3 main categories. Subject attributes like the user's title, department, training records. Object attributes the resource's sensitivity, data type, classification, and environment attributes.
The context stuff. Time of day, location, maybe the security posture of the device they're using.
Exactly. Is it a known corporate laptop or a personal phone on unknown Wi-Fi? ABAC considers all of this.
So if I try to access sensitive customer data, the system doesn't just check my role anymore. It checks. It's at 3 a.m. Am I logging in from that dodgy coffee shop Wi-Fi?
Precisely. And this dynamic matching enables something called risk-based access control.
Okay, how does that work?
The system has a policy decision point, a PDP. It evaluates all those attributes against the rules. If it decides the risk is too high based on the current context.
Like the weird login time and location?
Right. It might trigger an action, maybe prompt for an additional MFA factor, just to be sure, or it might deny access outright. Then the policy enforcement point, the PEP, actually carries out that decision, allows, denies, or steps up authentication.
Very dynamic. Okay, so moving from these abstract policy models to the day-to-day reality, we have the identity lifecycle.
Yeah, this is crucial operationally. You need formal policies for everything. Provisioning new users when they join.
Setting up their accounts, assigning initial roles.
Right, and just as important, deprovisioning when they leave. You have to revoke that access promptly.
Otherwise, you end up with orphaned account security holes.
Exactly. And critically, you need periodic user access reviews, sometimes called recertification. Regularly checking that the access people have is still appropriate for their job.
Making sure they haven't accumulated unnecessary permissions.
You hit the nail on the head. Without strict review policies, you run straight into the massive threat of aggregation.
Aggregation.
Yeah.
Accumulation.
Think about Sally. Starts in marketing, gets those permissions, moves to operations, gets new permissions, then transfers to IT, gets even more permission.
But does anyone ever revoke the old marketing or operations access?
Often, no. She just accumulates privileges. That mountain of unnecessary access is a huge risk. If her account gets compromised, the attacker has access to way more than they should. It's the absolute opposite of least privilege.
That makes sense. And that accumulated risk must be highest when we're talking about privileged accounts.
Right.
Admin access, root access.
Absolutely. Which brings us to privileged access management, or PM. The key trend here is all about minimizing the duration that privilege exists or is active.
So not letting someone just be an admin all the time.
Exactly. We're seeing the rise of just-in-time or JIT access.
Just in time, like you request admin rights only when you need them.
Precisely. You request it, maybe get approval, and it's granted only for a specific task and a limited time window, maybe an hour, maybe 4 hours. Then it's automatically revoked.
That shrinks the attack surface dramatically.
Hugely. And related to that is the idea of ephemeral accounts.
Ephemeral.
Temporary.
Yeah, like dynamically created accounts, maybe for a specific troubleshooting session or a vendor needing temporary access. The account is created, used once, and then immediately deleted or disabled. Gone.
Very cool. Reduces the standing privileges problem. Now, what about non-human accounts, service accounts?
Service accounts. These are a major headache. They're used for machine-to-machine communication application integrations.
And they often need broad permissions, right?
Wrong.
They do. And the big risks are they're frequently neglected, often limited to just single-factor authentication, maybe just a password stored somewhere, and their activity is less likely to be monitored for anomalies compared to user accounts.
So if one gets compromised.
It can be disastrous. Attackers love compromised service accounts. They can often hold the keys to vast parts of the environment quietly.
Okay, definitely something to lock down. So to connect all these identities, access rules, permissions across our networks and applications, we need the underlying technologies and standards.
Right. And often, the first thing organizations want for users is efficiency, which leads them straight to single sign-on, SSO.
SSO. Log in once, access everything, users love it.
They do. It's fantastic for productivity. But
There's always a but.
the risk is immense. It creates a massive single point of failure if those central SSO credentials get compromised.
The attacker gets the keys to the kingdom. Access to every application that user is authorized for. The ultimate golden key scenario.
Exactly. It's a huge target, which is why managing that central identity provider securely is paramount.
And that risk, plus the need to connect identities between organizations, drives the need for federation, right?
Yeah.
Federated identity management, FIFE.
Yeah, FIM allows different organizations or maybe different systems within a large organization or even a company and its cloud vendors to trust each other's authentication systems.
So I can log into my company network and then access a third-party SaaS app without logging in again.
That's the idea. Standards like the Federation of Identity Management, FIDM, help make identity portable and trusted across these boundaries.
Okay. What about the internal plumbing? Where are all these identities actually stored?
Usually in directory services, and the standard protocol for talking to those directories is LDK, the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol.
LDAP. So that's how applications query things like Microsoft Active Directory or other identity stores.
Exactly. It's the language for querying and modifying that big identity database.
And for network authentication itself, especially internal SSO within a Windows environment, we often hear about Kerberos.
Kerberos is key, yes. It's the protocol that works by issuing encrypted tickets. You authenticate once to the Key Distribution Center, the KDC.
And gives you a ticket granting ticket at TGT.
Right. Which you then use to request service tickets for specific resources, like file servers or printers, without re-entering your password.
Efficient. But you mentioned the KDC.
Ah, yes. The KDC is a critical component, and it represents a single point of failure. If the KDC goes down, Kerberos authentication stops working.
Okay, noted. What about accessing networks remotely? VPNs, wireless networks? What protocols handle that authentication?
There you typically run into Radius or TACAS plus Monica, Remote Authentication Dial-In User Service, and Terminal Access Controller Access Control System Plus.
Quite the mouthfuls. What's the key difference for us?
Security, mainly. Radius is older, UDP-based, and it generally only encrypts the password between the client and the Radius server. The rest of the session info might be clear text.
Not ideal.
No. TACAX Plus, on the other hand, is TCP-based and encrypts the entire authentication session, payload and all.
So if you're managing network infrastructure like routers, switches, VPN concentrators, TACAX Plus is the way to go.
Generally, yes. It offers substantially stronger security for device administration and network access control.
Good distinction. Okay, shifting to the web and cloud world, federation protocols are huge there too, aren't they?
Absolutely essential. The original big one is SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language.
XML-based, right?
Yep. It's the standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data called assertions between different web domains. Key for enabling web-based SSO between a company and, say, Salesforce or Office 365.
Okay. And then there's the often confusing pair, OAuth and OpenID Connect, OIDC.
Ah, yes, the dynamic duo. People mix them up all the time. Here's the simplest way to remember it. OAuth 2.0 is primarily about authorization.
Authorization.
Meaning it's about granting permission. When an application asks, can I access your photos or can I post to your feed, that's OAuth managing the consent and providing an access token for that specific permission. It doesn't inherently tell the app who you are.
Okay, so OAuth is for granting access to things. What about OIDC?
OpenID Connect, OIDC, is built on top of OAuth 2.0. Its specific job is identity and authentication. It provides information about the logged-in user, who they are, their email, etc., in a standard way, using an ID token.
So OIDC handles the sign-in with Google or sign-in with Facebook part, proving who the user is, and OAuth might handle letting that app access your Google contacts later.
Exactly. OIDC for identity, O for delegated authorization. They often work together but serve distinct, though related, functions.
That clarifies it nicely. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground.
We certainly have. IAM is a deep topic.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the core actionable takeaway for you listening? For me, it's really internalizing that shift to identity-centric defense. The network perimeter isn't enough. And practically.
Yeah.
Implementing MFA universally. It should just be the baseline, non-negotiable. And those regular user access reviews, they have to be done rigorously.
Seriously. To actively fight that silent threat of privilege aggregation we talked about, don't let access just build up unchecked.
Yeah.
And remember, strong IAM controls aren't just, technical nerd stuff. They are the absolute foundation for compliance. Think GDPR, HPA, SOX, and for effective security auditing.
Good point.
Robust IAM systems are specifically designed to stop major threats. Things like credential snuffing, where attackers hammer logins with lists of stolen passwords.
Hoping for reuse.
Exactly. And privilege escalation, where an attacker gets a foothold with low privileges and then finds a way, often through misconfigured permissions, to become an admin. Strong IAM blocks that.
Okay. So our mission is complete. We've dived deep into why identity truly is the new perimeter.
Yeah.
Mastering IAM is pretty much mastering modern security.
Well said. And maybe here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on. We talked about attribute-based access control, ABAC, being the most flexible, most dynamic model today.
Right, adapting to context.
But if access decisions are based on constantly changing environmental attributes, time, Location, device trust, threat intel, feeds. What are the governance and auditing challenges that come with that? How do you effectively audit a system whose rules are, by design, constantly shifting based on real-time context?
That's a tough one. Auditing something that's always in flux.
Something to think about. How do you ensure fairness, compliance, and trace decisions in such a dynamic system?
Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you found these insights valuable, make sure you subscribe to continue your journey into cybersecurity mastery.
We'll be back next time with more crucial nuggets of knowledge.